What's good, guys? Haben here, back with another solo video. Today I'll be reviewing my favorite plot twists in One Piece. Plot twists aren't crucial to the story, but they are a great way to add intriguing moments and to keep the readers invested in the plot. Surely enough, One Piece has a ton of plot twists, so picking some that are impactful to me shouldn't be too difficult. Before we get into the honorable mentions, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and like the video for more content like this. For our honorable mentions, in no specific order, Blackbeard wielding 2 devil fruits. It was already surprised to see Blackbeard join the fight during Marineford and to finish off Whitebeard, but to be able to steal his devil fruit and use it was crazy. Luffy's family. They reveal a small portion of Luffy's family in post Enies lobby as we find out Marine Vice Admiral Garp is Luffy's grandpa. And Dragon, the leader of the Revolutionary Army, is Luffy's dad, not to mention Ace and Sabo, 2 boys he grew up with. The origin of Enma. We all know Oda likes connected dots for most of his storylines, and the fact that Enma and the Wado Ichimoji were both crafted by the same man was pretty interesting when reading, especially since it was during the heat of the battle with Zoro versus King. Now that we've concluded our honorable mentions, let's start with number 5, Ace is Roger's son. Now, whenever they catch pirates, they usually just imprison them, which is why they even have Impel Down to begin with, where they hold some of the most dangerous and notorious pirates. We even see Crocodile in there during this arc. But after Ace and Blackbeard had their clash, Blackbeard decided to hand over Ace to the Marines. But nobody really questioned why they decided to make it such a big deal to have a public execution. I mean, they promoted it in the papers, had a live broadcasting, even hosted it at the Marine headquarters. Now, there were 2 reasons why they did this. For one, Ace was part of Whitebeard's crew, and they knew Edward wouldn't just sit and watch a crew member of his die. So, it was a way to lure him out. Hence why they had almost every single active Marine on the grounds during the execution. The 3 admirals, Fleet Admiral Sengoku, along with the warlords. But believe it or not, Whitebeard and his crew weren't even the main reason. The main reason was that Ace is the son of Goldie Roger. Now, the Navy understood how much of a threat Goldie Roger was, and they suspected he would attempt to have a child somewhere. So, for an entire year, they investigated and killed every single mother who was pregnant because they feared Roger's bloodline would continue and another formidable pirate would spawn. Ace's mom carried him for 20 months, avoiding the Navy. Surely enough, when it was safe, she gave birth to a healthy boy. Now the execution makes a lot more sense. The Navy always feared Roger, and since this is his son, they would hope using Ace would be a great way to set an example to all the current and future pirates. Not only that, but Sengoku himself stated this: if we left you alone, slowly but surely, you would start to gain the qualities to stand at the summit of the pirate world. That's why there is so much meaning in cutting you down today. This wasn't just shocking for the One Piece world, but the viewers. The fact that they started Marineford this strong was easy enough to put this moment in the top 5. At 4th, CP9's true identity. I feel like I never hear the community talk about this moment, so I guess I'll be the first. Let's be real, when we first saw them, they didn't seem all that great. Just a bunch of nut jobs that were very passionate about building ships. I mean, you can't blame us. When we first met them, they almost unintentionally killed a man for refusing to pay for his ship. Not only that, but Rob Lucci is a ventriloquist who speaks through his pet pigeon. Kaku looked like a more athletic version of Luffy as we watched him leap through the entire city just to check on the Going Merry. Khalifa was just a wacky secretary with bad aim, but overall it felt like a circus of wacky innocent characters. But for them to be working undercover for the Cypher Pole was shocking. They were looking for the blueprints to an ancient weapon called Pluto, and they were willing to harm anyone in order to get their hands on it, including Iceberg, the man they've been working for all this time. They also dragged Robin along with them into looking for this weapon, but Tom, the previous owner of the blueprints, handed it over to one of his 2 pupils. The obvious choice would have been Iceberg since he was so talented in making ships, but to everyone's surprise, Frankie was in possession of it. The CP9 were after the weapon to use it in the name of justice. They weren't holding back. They almost killed Iceberg, Pauline, and almost burnt the entire city down just for a couple blueprints. These guys being introduced was a great addition to the arc because it carried on to making one of the best One Piece arcs, Enies Lobby, and birthed one of Luffy's best fights, Lucci versus Luffy. It's a shame we barely hear any of these guys get talked about. At 3, Vinsmoke Sanji. More about the origin of the Vinsmoke family and how Sanji played a part in that. If you guys remember, the Straw Hats split up in Dressrosa and agreed to meet up again at Zoo. Sanji, Nami, Chopper, and Brook all went ahead and got comfy there waiting for the rest of the crew to meet up. But before they got a chance, Sanji was met by a member of the Big Mom Pirates. Capone breaks it down that Sanji is to be wed to Pudding. Why and how? Because he's part of the Vinsmoke family. Who is the Vinsmoke family? Well, the father judge Vinsmoke is the leader and creator of the Germa 66. Germa 66 is both the military branch for the Germa Kingdom and the underworld mercenary force commanded by the kingdom's ruling family, the Vinsmoke family, who are very popular in the East Blue. But the question is, how is Sanji attached to this family? Well, his father wanted to create bioengineered kids who would eventually help rule the East Blue. While everything was going accordingly for the first couple of kids, Sanji's mother took a poison which essentially kept Sanji normal. And because Sanji wasn't genetically modified into this superhuman like his siblings, he was disowned and treated like dirt, not only by Judge but his other siblings who loved to bully him. The only person who treated Sanji was his caring mother, who would later pass away, leaving Sanji with nobody who loved and cared for him. Like, this guy Judge really put my guy in a jail cell with a metal helmet on his face, trying to hide his existence from everyone. But eventually, Sanji would get the opportunity to escape his cursed family and live a new life, hoping that his connection to the Vinsmoke family would be cut off for good. Until Judge decided to use Sanji by getting into the Charlotte Linland family by marrying one of their kids. With this new relationship, he would hope to use Big Mom in spreading the German name and create more inventions. Sanji being affiliated with the Vinsmoke family was such a huge shock to me while watching the series, since Sanji is one of my favorite characters, so to see more about him was nothing but a blessing from Oda himself. At second, a more recent moment in anime, Gear 5 / Luffy being Joy Boy. After I caught up to the anime, I started reading the manga, which was around the beginning of Wano, so reading Wano weekly was nothing but a joy to me. And it's not crazy to say that Gear 5 was the most hyped up chapter Oda has released. The panel of him on the ground with his face looking like it's melting while he was smiling had One Piece fans going through the roof in excitement. Kaido just hit Luffy with his giant club and puts him to sleep. Momo starts panicking as he can no longer hear Luffy's voice. But Zunisha begins to talk to Momo saying, "I hear the drums of liberation. For the first time in 800 years he is here. Joy Boy has returned." Next chapter we get the Gorosei talking about how they lost possession of the Gum Gum fruit and since then they regret it. The Gum Gum fruit is actually a Zoan type human fruit mythical type model Nika. The Nika fruit makes the user possess the properties of rubber, and one fighting brings these smiles to the faces of people around him. The warrior of liberation that gives freedom to everyone he sees. This is exactly what Luffy does. Whenever he travels from island to island, it's always because Luffy feels like it and not because he's tasked with going there. And he goes to these islands, he encounters plenty of people who he liberates from their troubles. Joy Boy was never a person but more of a title given to those who holds the power to liberate the world. So this title is no greater for anyone but Luffy. I honestly don't even have to explain much about this moment because it's pretty self-explanatory and agreed upon within the community that this plot twist was pretty amazing, which is the reason I have it at number 2. Now, the number 1 spot for my favorite moment in One Piece, the moment that hit me the hardest in terms of plot twist is Raizo is safe. This was one of the most random and unexpected moments for me that I smile whenever I think about this. Oda always loves to make sure there are impactful moments throughout his series, especially big moments during all his arcs. And even though Zou was a transition arc, he made sure to give it the same love. Like I mentioned earlier with the Sanji part, the Straw Hats had agreed to meet up in Zou after they finished up in Dressrosa. Surely enough, the rest of the crew have met up on Zou, but they approached another problem. The Minks all despise samurais. Why? Because they were wrongfully accused of protecting a samurai named Raizo. Jack and a couple of subordinates came to Zou looking for a man named Raizo. Surely enough, the Minks claimed there was no person named that here. So because they were wasting Jack's time, he decided to destroy the main city and torture Dog and Cat into telling him where Raizo is. And when they didn't comply, he chopped off Dog's arm and Cat's leg. Not only did he kill and torture other Minks, he left the town with a deadly poison. Thankfully, Chopper came by with all of them almost dead to clear them up of all the poisonous gas and to cure them. But it really showed how much these Minks suffered. Now, how is this a problem for Luffy and his crew? Because they are housing 3 of these samurai, Hanjiro, Momonosuke, and Kinemon. Once the 3 samurai showed face, Kinemon screamed out and declared he was looking for a samurai named Raizo. The Straw Hats immediately started going into a panic, thinking that this would cause another war, just for Dog and Cat to take a seat and bow saying Raizo is alive and well. The Straw Hats reaction was the exact same as mine when I first watched this moment. You gotta realize they let a millennium old city collapse to ruins, sacrifice body parts, and almost killed majority of the Minks for this man. Why? Because they would never sell a comrade to the enemy. I guess they took a page from Kakashi's book because this sounds like a line straight from Naruto, but this moment hyped up Wano a lot for me because I was curious to learn the relationships of these members since they were so willing to sacrifice their own lives. Thank you guys for watching this video. This is the conclusion to my favorite plot twist in One Piece. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this as we did making this video. One Piece has over 1,000 chapters and episodes, so it makes sense if I missed out on a couple moments, so be sure to remind me your favorite One Piece plot twist in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and like the video, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.